Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VAED, the Voice Actor Education Document. Thank you for joining us for another of our coaching videos. And with us today is one of my favorites, Deb Munro. Hello, Deb. How are you doing?
Hey, hi, I'm wonderful, Robert. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. For anyone who doesn't know, we like to jump right into the question section, but don't worry, you'll get some of my rambling segues eventually as we keep going. So, Deb, if you're ready, want to get
I
started?
am, of course.
Here we go. Deb, what made you decide to take up coaching for VO specifically in the first place?
Well, I feel like I didn't decide. I feel like it decided for me because I'm a natural sharer. I love to share. I love to host. I love to share. That's my person. That's what I love. I love people. And I got involved with casting, directing, and producing. And I already had theater and broadcasting behind me. And so I felt that I had a lot of experience to give to a lot of people that when they're in my casting room, for example, I found a lot of people were not understanding what a slate was or how to run the auditions or not to be nervous. And I felt like I could help them. So all I ever wanted to do was help. And in fact, overstep sometimes because in directed sessions with being the talent, not knowing my place in the room very well, I would want to help and try and direct. That's not my place. That's not my time. In those situations, though, it started happening. So I was holding like, a few people come over to my house and I'll teach you for a couple hours, and that was it. And I'm a host, so I always had, you know, vegetables and snacks and drinks and stuff out. And then it became 20 people, and then it became 30. And then it was like, oh, okay, this is starting to actually cost me a lot of money. So now I just started charging after that. And I really learned that I loved I don't look at it as I love teaching. I love helping people. It makes me feel so good and so proud to have a part in their journey. So I just loved it. I tried to retire. It didn't work very well. And here I am again.
It just came up naturally because it's what you do. I
Just
get
what I
you.
do. I can't help it. Yeah. I
And
think it's not my secret to own. So I feel a need to share it in a
it's
way.
it's funny. It is kind of like this secret, but not a secret. I describe VO and voice acting as this kind of arcane thing where you don't really know what you don't know until you know it. It's
Hmm.
strange, but
It's true.
speaking of these things to know about this strange arcane art of ours, what is it about voiceover, the specific aspect that you've chosen to specialize in, if there is one? Could you elaborate on that?
Now, do you mean which genre in voiceover I specialize in, or why I chose voiceover specifically to get into?
Let's focus on the genre. What a student of VO would be best served by seeking you out.
Okay, so, oh, I see. Well, I like to think I'm good at almost all of it. And I know that sounds really bad, but I really do.
Well,
I honestly feel that way. My strengths, my biggest strength, what I've done the most work in, period, is commercial and narration. That's what I've done the most work in. But I think I'm really good at animation and teaching it. I think I'm very good at video games and teaching it. I think I'm very good at documentary and in show and talking technology because I try to always stay very current. I'm always trying to stay current because I'm a talent first. I'm not a coach first. I'm a talent
yeah.
first. And so I have to stay current for myself to be current with the trends of today. And I love directing. So it just kind of goes hand in hand. But I get it. We're supposed to specialize. I'm actually, for the first time in my entire career, specializing. For the first time in my whole career as a talent, I'm finally going, you know what? I think so I'm in a band and
Uh-huh.
I'm in a heavy rock band, and it's very aggressive on my vocal instrument, and I'm aging. So I'm getting some vocal fry and stuff. And while it's current right now, thank God, it won't be forever and it's going to be a problem at some point. And now I'm doing, more insurance and senior stuff and things like that as my voice ages. And then playing a lot of older characters. So I feel that it's important for me to stay focused on where my voice is going. So I sway with the genre as my voice is taking me there. So right now, I feel going to really take me into video games more so in documentary as a focus. And so it's very interesting for after 30 something years. This is the first time I focus, and I would teach you normally to focus always first. Find that one niche you're good at and go after. But for me, I loved it all. I don't care what you give me. Give me more. I don't care what it, I don't care. I don't care what it is. I love bringing words to life. That's what I'm addicted to, no matter what kind of situation it is, because it's character in everything we do anyway. So it's just finding those that it's like dealing with the fussy customer. If you're a person like myself, when I worked at Walmart, I was a customer service manager, or
Oh,
I'd be on the floor. And I loved making an unhappy person happy. I love it. I love the challenge. Love the challenge. So I feel it's the same kind of thing. I love the challenge of taking these words and pretending they're my own and making them my own. And so that's why I say I just everything, but I don't recommend that for everybody. I don't recommend everybody do everything, but be good at a lot of stuff, you know.
that's it. To try something, to not be afraid to try it, and you might find that you are taken with a lot of different things. I agree. Like I will be forthright. Video games is what drew me in. I think a lot of people say
Yes,
that.
most of you.
I
Yeah.
stuck around because commercial paid really well.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
why commercials one of my favorite is because number one, those that fast forward commercials, I don't see them the same way. Not just because it's my bread and butter, but because I actually find it amazing creatively. Creatively, these
yeah.
people are taking 30 seconds, 50 seconds, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 6 seconds, and
6 seconds.
somehow making you remember something in order to buy something for your needs. And so I find that number one, it makes the world go round. People don't realize how important commercials are.
Oh
And
yeah.
number two, how creative that is. And not to be the exact same carbon copy as was done in the 1960s, 50s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, wow, man. And you're in and you're out. Yes.
There is. There's like, for even what I just said, there is sometimes there's a game. I always enjoy telling this story, not to make this about me for a second, but
Of course.
my favorite job in recent, not even recent memory, was just in memory, was I always say I got paid to say 4 words. And it was before Valentine's Day, the day before Valentine's Day. And I always ask people, do you know what those 4 words were? Everybody guesses. I love you, and then they forget it's 4 words. And the words were, it's sunny, numbnuts. And that was 2 words, apparently. And there's no correlation at all between Valentine's Day,
Valentine's Day.
but for whatever reason, the commercial was like, we need a guy to say that. And they
Yeah.
chose me. And I'm like,
In
sweet.
this way.
So I
Okay,
love
I'll take it.
they
Yeah.
could commercials can be fun. They don't all have to be
They
Old
can,
Spice
no, they're
commercials,
not.
but I want to be a part of one at some point, let me tell you.
But see, again, I find all of them a wonderful challenge. Like, how can I bring this to life? Even if I'm the wrong choice for it, it's such a fun challenge to try to make boring copy sound really good, or an uninteresting story turn it into an interesting story. And I think that's what a lot of us talent get out of it. We love the gratification of taking something and making it our own. And you always hear that, but really owning that is a different story, actually getting in
Mhm.
there and really feeling like it's something that you brought to life, that does become the important part of the equation, that you're really emoting yourself through this character. And it's never you saying the words, very, very rarely. So I love living vicariously through the Old Spice, through the car commercial,
Yeah.
through the talking bear, through the animated gorilla, or the pirate that I just did. So it's all the same to me, because I'm still bringing someone else's copy to life, not my own. If I was bringing my own copy to life, I might see it maybe differently. I mean, I probably wouldn't, because I just am now where I am. You've been doing it for so long, right? I've just been doing it a long time.
That's it. We don't look at it like, oh, that's dumb. We look at it like,
No,
oh,
it's normal.
that's challenging.
Yeah. Okay,
Does
I'm gonna
that,
bring this. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, does that reflect itself in your teaching style? Is the kind of making something into a challenge, is that an aspect of, you know what? How about we just say the proper question? How would you describe your teaching style?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll kind of highlight both parts of that, because it really is almost two questions. The I feel like I do bring that in because I feel like that's what they need to be prepared for. And I'm always teaching the way I would want to be taught. That's the
Yes.
teacher I am. So I'm very to the point. I don't sugar fluff. I don't feel the need to tell you everything you're doing right. I don't try to be rude by any means. But I do try to be straightforward with tact and good communication because I think that you need to be prepared for the real world. And so that's the way in which I teach. And I guess that does answer teaching style because that is the most important aspect to me. For me, it's about, okay, I've hired coaches when I was being coached more so. I would always take coaching forever as long as I live myself. But when I was being coached more so and learning, um, I really found there was especially one in particular. I drove 9 hours to go see them.
Oh
It
yeah.
was an session for me. I spent like back then, a long time ago, $125 for the hour to coach with them. And that was a lot of gas and time, and I had to stay in a hotel. And
Oh my
the
God,
session
yeah.
now becomes several $100s for me. And all they did was critique my demo the entire time. That's it. I got nothing. And
Hmm.
I was so upset. I was actually very, I felt ripped off. I felt like I didn't
Mm.
get my money's worth. And so I didn't swear if I ever coached because I wasn't planning on coaching at that time, but I think I was going towards it already at that time because of, well, I guess I kind of was. I was teaching acting on camera, right? So I taught
Okay.
acting on camera first for a while before I was teaching voice acting. And then I just said, I will never be that kind of teacher. I will make sure they're getting more than their money's worth as best as I humanly can because again, I want to be the teacher that I would want. So I'm always in that straightforward approach. There's nothing wrong with saying what you did good, which is great. I like that you did this, but I'm going to focus on this right now. Here's what's not working, and here's the bonus is now here's the solution you could try.
That's
And
it.
so that's what to me teaching is here's a solution for the problem. There should be a problem, otherwise, why are you seeing me? If you're great at everything you're doing, why is there a point to seeing me? And so I'm always looking for where can I be of best help to, and I want to add this actually, myself personally, I always say this to talent. I'm not milking you for sessions. I don't need money. I've never been money hungry. I never will be money hungry. I don't need money. I don't need coach for money. Um, but I do feel that uh when something about getting your money's worth, and I've totally lost where I was going to go with this. I
That's
think it's
okay.
yeah, I think it's so important that you are valuing the time put. I've totally lost where I was going on that one now. So
That's
I've,
okay, Deb. I mean, it's funny because when you were talking about wanting to provide actual, like, I'm going to use terms like feedback and criticism, and I mean those in their more favorable terms.
that's where
Things
I was
like
going with. Okay, yeah, carry on.
exact perfect. Then we can jump right into this next question. I We're going to be mixing our little questions around a little bit for anyone who's watched a few of these, but essentially let's hop right down to this one, Deb. What is your thought process when you're providing, we can say, criticism, feedback, direction? How to get a student who is maybe in a place where you're thinking, I think you could be somewhere stronger than this. What's your thoughts on getting them out when you have to give them a bit of a push or something?
Well, I think everything becomes, and the more advanced you get, the more this becomes. Most things become about, do you understand what you're doing? Do you understand as the character what you're doing? And then translate that back to me then. Because if you can come up with a solution as a talent with my help nudging the right questions, then now we have a good product because you think you got the solution. If I am just like I try not to line read, but if I have to line read with you, I will. I know a lot of coaches are against line readings where they give you a line, they want you to repeat that, especially on a demo. And the reason that is very, very smart is because we don't, if you can't do it without us, then you're not ready for it. It's as simple as that. And I agree
Yeah.
with that, but I also think that a lot of us are good at mimicry. And if I can hear
Mm.
what it is you're describing, I can mimic that. So sometimes that little prompt is good. So I might have to do that depending on what it is. Now, one thing I'd love to share is when I have what I have recently experienced that I wouldn't even in my generation in the past
Oh.
is more combative talent. So, and
Ah.
I mean more defensive, more than like just argumentative combative. I mean more defensive, I guess is a better word for it, because I'll say, your character's going to do this, and no, my character wouldn't do that. Oh,
Oh.
okay.
That sounds like the D&D player, if you ask me, from someone who does that a bunch.
Right.
I'm just doing what my character would do.
Yeah,
Please.
they justify. We've my generation, I believe, have raised the younger generation to reason. Here's my reason though. Here's my reason though. And the bigger picture, the reason doesn't matter. If you go to any counselor, they'll tell you always the reason doesn't matter. It's actually the bigger picture that matters, that gets to the core of all issues. So we think it's these fine little tiny issues, but it's actually a bigger picture. And so when you get a talent who's reasoning with you of why they think this is okay, there is some merit to that. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Talent have done that since the beginning of time, especially when they're more experienced and they understand the character. But I also understand the hierarchy in the room, which is that this is actually not my character. This is
Hmm.
input I'm putting into the character that someone else owns. And so I have to respect that if that's what they want, I'm going to try that because I don't mind being the puppet on the string. You want me to dance? Okay, I'm going to dance. You want me to sing? I'm going to sing. You want me to play? I'm going to play because I don't mind that yet. I'm actually a more in control person. I like to control my environment. If you ask my family, they would tell you I'm probably controlling. I'm a dominant person. But I like being told, here, I'd like a little more of this, a little more of this. But then I have the freedom to do it on my own, right? To do it in that regard. So dealing with combative talent, I want to go back to that because
Sure.
what I do with that, which I think is positive, even though it can probably maybe not, I might not be the best fit for them, is I will call them on it. And I'll say, I just want you to know that if you said this to a director of my age at this day and time, they probably just would never bring you back. You would never hear from them. You wouldn't know. You just probably wouldn't be back and not understand why. It's so important we're very professional and understand, I think, our hierarchy in the room in that moment. I don't believe in hierarchy overall. I
Yeah.
don't believe anyone's better than you, and I don't believe I'm better than anyone else, period. I just don't think anyone's better than no one, period, period. I think
Yeah.
everyone matters, and that's the end. That's just my philosophy on life. But I also feel that in business, there needs to be slight hierarchy so things get done. And so in this situation, unless I'm the client paying for the product, I'm not. So I try to again teach talent what to expect in the real world, because again, they're going to say it behind your back, not to your face.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
to say it to your face. I've seen it. I've been there as a casting person, as a director, as a producer. I've heard them talk behind your back. And so I just kind of want to teach you as I go all the time, no matter what position I'm owning, right? I have to learn that balance sometimes.
yeah, I'm thankful I had one of the classes with you before I had my first directed session because it's something that you helped me learn when it comes to when the director and the client are in the room. If I might go on for a second, it was this. I'm in here and I'm going to take the cues from the director because the director has more of the overall view. He has the higher view of what's going on throughout. For me, I'm focused on my character, my situation, and my scene, yes, but he's got a, or rather, they have a more
Bigger.
broad view of the whole picture. And then when it comes to anything with the client or the director, I'm like, I'm going to do what either of you ask me to do. And if you guys want to fight on who has ownership of me, mom and dad, you guys can figure it out. I'm just going to be quiet over here.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
let me tell you guys, that is going to buy you a lot of extra time in sessions with people.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to just go, I've done my part, and then wait for your part again. It's going to help.
Yeah, you need to be a good listener and a good talker, right? The two things are important. One of the things I was going to say before that I'd forgotten earlier
Please.
was about when I coach and stuff. I don't believe in wasting your money, like I say. So I'm going to give you very direct feedback. And if you are able to be great after one session with me and ready to go and launch your career after just having one session, then I look good. So
Yeah.
if you need one session, then I'm going to then we'll do it in one session. It's not very likely, depending on your experience level, but I'm great for whenever you're great. Again, I'll go back to what I started saying, which is I don't milk people for sessions. I don't need your sessions. So if you're wonderful right now and your demo's great, I'm going to say that. I got no problem with it. Unfortunately, most of us don't agree on demos, so we all have our own critiquing of it. But it's at the same time, I think it's great to be ready right away. Again, your coach looks better the quicker you're ready. If it takes me a long time to get someone there, well, that's on me too. What am I doing? How can I help them more to get through to them quicker? And I can't help their learning style. That's up to them. But I am 50% responsible for that relationship and getting a good outcome, right?
What you've just brought up is actually an amazing segue. It's very related to the next question I'm about to ask. So thank you on that. That question is there some kind of progress, milestone, achievement that a student should do before they come to seek you out when they're on their journey?
No, I love taking beginners. I'm great with
Okay.
anybody wherever they are. You don't know how to run a mouse? I'll help you. And the reason I say that is because I think a lot of people, and I saw this with my ex-husband. When computers came out, his company forced him to have a computer, which thank God they did, because I became computer savvy right in the beginning. And when they came out for public homes, is what I mean, right? They're obviously been around for a while, but he would try to teach me, say, how to run the mouse or running DOS, the old systems and the hardware and how it all worked. And I didn't find him a very good teacher,
Mhm.
not understanding. I don't know what a mouse is yet. I don't know how to right click and left click still. I'm still learning how to coordinate this. And so from things like that, I learned to be a really great teacher no matter where your level was, so that I could relate to where you need me to be. So if you
Right.
need to be layman on computer technology, period, then that's what we're going to do. And we'll spend that time so you don't have to feel stupid, because other people take it for granted. I don't think they ever mean to make anyone feel dumb, but they take for granted what it's like to just run a mouse and understand Windows and understand a Mac, let's say, or how sound works or how it doesn't work, or how, what the hell is this steel thing I have to talk into, and how does that work, and why can't it be upside down this way or this right? So there's just so many things that I feel that I wish people would come to me for. And I wish that people saw me as a after beginner too. I don't mean I should be with you for your whole career, because I think I do believe in multiple coaching. But I
Absolutely.
do believe I'm also an advanced teacher. I'm both, because I remember what it's like to begin. And I took train the trainer courses. Like, I took courses on how to train as well. So I could be what I think is a trainer I would want. Again, I'll just keep saying it that way because I think it's a good trainer, but for some it might be a little too forward. I get to the point pretty quickly, and not looking, like I said, to make everybody feel good. I'm looking to give you progress immediate. The quicker you're ready, like I said, the better I look.
I like that your experience and how you want to build as a teacher, they have been built by your life and your experiences. Because it's true. I have so many programming friends. They know how to talk computer and code and all that. But if they try to say something to me, I'm like, what is a colon versus semicolon, etc.? What does it matter? So yeah, that there are times when people can
Gibberish.
take for granted what you do and do not know. It's part of that arcane nature of our industry too. It's the you don't know what you don't know until you've been told you don't know it.
And I truly believe there's no stupid question in ever, because, and I really believe that, because I don't mind looking stupid. I don't mind that I forgot what I was about to say there. I don't mind that I don't understand what your reference was, director. I don't know who that character is. Sorry, I know I'm supposed to. I don't mind that I don't know this famous person you guys all know. I don't mind. I accept me for who I am, the knowledge I've been given and the knowledge I don't have yet. And I'm not afraid to say, can you tell me who that is? Because I don't know. And so I just think that that's important. Again, that very on. I used to be a compulsive liar as a kid.
Oh my God,
I
really?
lied profusely until I was until I was 17 and got pregnant, and just didn't care anymore after that.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
I wanted everybody to like me, and so I lied all the time. And then I became a very young mom, and I just didn't care anymore about lying, and swore I'd never lie again. So I just never lie. I just don't lie. I just won't. If you ask me how your hair is, I'm going to tell you how your hair is. Don't ask me if you don't want to know the answer, because I'm going to tell you because I think people are so scared. I'm actually writing a book. I've got 3 books in the works, which is terrible, but I will finish them. Um, and it's actually just about the truth. It's just telling people how to tell the truth, because I think people don't understand that with good communication, you can tell anything to anybody at any time. I do believe it would heal the world if people were truthful. And I think that people don't understand that and don't know how to own that, because we're too afraid of hurting one's feelings. And I'm not afraid of hurting. I don't like to hurt anybody. I hate it when I've upset someone, believe me. And I don't always get to know, because I'm this forward person, and then they pretend it's okay, and then they walk away and go, oh, she was, she didn't like what I did or
Oh,
whatever. I don't even know, because I don't hear that feedback, so I don't know. But I feel like if we could all learn to say it in a way that isn't judgmental, that is constructive, that has solution attached, that doesn't say you're right or wrong or anything that is just opinionated. I believe everything can be said. And so I'm trying to teach the world through examples of things like, do you like my hair versus the politician who's lying, whoever's lying. I don't care who's lying. There is so much unnecessary lying going on in the world. And I just wish everybody would own inside their truth, because I don't know even how I got on this tangent, but I think it would make the world a better place. Someone shut up now.
Well, I'm glad you got on this tangent because I'm one of those guys where I'm not like you. I'm like the other person you described. That you're gonna say something and it might flake my skin or something, and I'm gonna go, oh no, it's okay. And then I'll just kind of bottle it. So, Deb, when you're done that book of yours, the one about how to be able to communicate directly and tell people, hey, in my case, it'll be more like that kind of bugged me. When you can tell me in that book how to say, hey, that kind of bugged me without me
Yeah.
feeling like an asshole, I'm going to appreciate that and let me know and I'll buy that book.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm using examples so everybody gets it. It'll be easy to understand. It's just things we don't think of that in the moment might be hard to digest or to process, right? But really, if you knew it ahead of time, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, this is one of those circumstances. I can use this technique here. And it's a technique. And I've used it to be able to get myself out of situations that would otherwise be combative, debative, whatever, uncomfortable. And I just think that so people like yourself, I separate the world into bitches and assholes. I hope your audience is okay with that.
Well,
Now
I
the
guess
reason
they'll have to. I started it.
they'll have to be now, and the reason I say that is whether you're masculine or feminine, we tend to, as women or as feminines, we tend to nag, 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 nag a lot all the time. We get it out a lot, and that's the nagging. It doesn't mean they all do. So of course, there's exceptions to every rule. Whereas most masculines, they hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, and blow up.
Ah,
And then what happens is that blow up is usually not what it's really about. That blow up is about all those things that they compartmentalized and now are becoming to a head. And then that is why I believe a lot more masculine people will abuse or physically punch,
ooh.
and why a lot more feminine people who bitch all the time are nags that are actually verbally abusive. And so there should be a balance. Neither is great. But I believe that it's so unhealthy for us to hold things in. But I also believe it's unhealthy for us to let everything go. And my lessons become yours becomes to let go of things and to speak. Mine become to not have to speak on every single thing. Those are my life lessons because yeah, there isn't a space I can't fill. That's why you don't even need a question board with me. Like I'll fill in space. Where do you want it? Here we go. Blah, 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 blah. Good thing I'm a voice actor, right? But it's like I've had to learn to be a good listener, which goes back to our industry. I had to learn to be a good listener to be a good voice actor. I had to learn to be a good listener, to be a good mom. I had to learn to be a good listener, to be a friend, to be a wife, to be any of the things that you want to be in life. It actually is a two-part relationship. And so I have to learn to listen as much as I can express slash dominate slash take charge of slash, I have to learn that I'm not the only one who can do that. There's others that can do that. So you're always finding your place, but always be within your honesty so you're not holding stuff in. I think holding stuff in is very unhealthy for us. And again, like I say, so is nagging all the time. It's very unhealthy for us too. So it's that finding that balance. We can each learn from each other. I can learn to suck up some stuff, and you can learn to let go of some stuff if we just learned how, right?
Exactly.
I'll
And
let you know when.
I love that you chose the terms that we can learn from because I swear to God, you're very good at this. I am impressed with how you managed to get me set up on my second to last question, which is
Oh,
Deb, whether in the realm of voiceover or perhaps for those listening who are interested in writing or furthering this self-development that you were talking about, this self-betterment, is there someone whom you have learned from recently and what were they teaching? We like to pass the baton on this tail end.
and recently is the question, right? Recently.
If they're still in the industry and you think that they are a good person for some of us to turn to, fire away.
I have lots. I mean, I have a nice little list that I share with anyone who wants some nice reputable help that I have absolutely respect and admire.
Ooh.
Um, I'm gonna actually start in the beginning, skip out some people, and then go right to the end real fast in a real quick list.
Let's do
My
it.
very first mentor, who I adore and love, and who showed me that this industry is giving, was James Alberger, and also Elaine Clark. And I kind of put them side by side because Elaine Clark was really a pioneer almost even before James, but I had met James before I met Elaine, and they're both just real pioneers of the industry, of their generosity and what they started, and writing books that helped us understand, and Sue Blue as well, to understand the industry. I also was very fortunate to work with the casting director when I did Dragon Ball and some other stuff that I did, and she was teaching a voice workshop, which was my very first voice workshop. And I loved the stuff that she taught me and put together. Then through James, I met Bob Bergen, who is my just, I idolize and love and adore. And he's a good friend. And I just feel like kindred spirits with Bob. And so Bob Bergen is right up there, one of the top of everybody's list in many different ways, but he's right up there. Now, if I fast forward, there was definitely people along the way for sure that I owe a lot of praise to, but my coaching partner, Ellie Ray, she is just, I think, one of the best at pulling out risk in talent and letting them learn, which I didn't understand. I probably did understand just before I met Ellie, but she really brought to light even more clear for me, which is that we have to be ourselves. And that's really what they're hiring. And Ellie is just a gifted human being at, she's out there. And for some people, maybe it's just like, whoa, are you really? But no, she can just grab your psyche, man, and pull at your heart and just get to the core of your issues. Most people are crying after a session with her because she just gets you. There's just something in there that just grabs you and makes you take risks that you wouldn't ever before. And I've learned so much more about animation and the world of character work, especially through her. And so I'm so grateful for all my time that I've had with Ellie, which is many, many years now. Then I also really love Mark Grau. Mark Grau is good at what he does. He's a brilliant engineer. I love his generosity and his candidness to the industry. In fact, we're doing a podcast together, and
Hey.
I really feel like he's like almost like I feel with Bob and with James. They are family, and Ellie, they're a family for me. And Mark for me is a part of that family. He's just been a part of my world for a long time. And I am grateful for their insight and their experience. I love watching vicariously through them and their worlds, because it's a different world than mine. They are union. I'm not. James wasn't, but with Mark and Ellie, for example, and Bob, they're all union. So I got to learn to respect what the union is fighting for, and it gave me better insight, and they were welcoming to take me in when I was non-union. And I respect that. I know that sounds really, well, of course you're a human, but no, they don't have to. They don't support the fact that we're
Yeah.
non-union. They don't love that. There's a reason that they're fighting for this industry. And so those are, long story short, some of my main go-tos. I mean, I definitely have more, but there are some of my absolute faves for sure.
I've got immense respect for someone who can see the line where you are on one side and someone else is on the other, but they don't care about the line when they're talking about and to you. They still see
Exactly.
the person and they don't got to be on the same side as that person.
Yeah.
Immense respect on that. I'm
Mhm.
I'm very happy that at the end of this we're going to be able to ask for a few of the links and the socials for people who you've been talking about, but that'll be later. Instead, we've got my last formal question here, which is to ask you, Deb, what is the most important thing that a student could learn from you? It's a tough one. I love the pause
Well,
that comes.
my first thing I want to say is that it actually truly is learning how to be yourself. That's the true gift to being a voice actor. That really is. And that's very difficult when you're reading someone else's copy because you didn't write it. You didn't think it. And that's what's wrong. That's why most actors don't sound genuine to it, is because it's not their copy. They don't really believe in it. And
Mm.
so if you can find a way to recognize that the client might have specs that you should follow, and I do believe in them, I really do. But I also believe that what's most important is that I'm genuine to me, because that's what separates me from anybody else in the industry. So you have to figure out your, as Ellie would put it, your superpower. What is your superpower? What separates you from everybody else? And who are you with your closest friends? Are you a goofball? Are you silly? Are you weird? Oh, good, then you are welcome here. And if you're not, this might be an uncomfortable industry for you. It's full of a lot of, well, I mean, let's face it, the whole world is weird. And so stop trying to be who you
Normal.
think the world wants you to be normal.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to trust that this industry is actually looking to embrace your weird. You might have to control it. You might have to learn how to manipulate it at certain times, certain places, certain ways, certain copy, and change up your personalities every once in a while. But it's all still based on your life experiences. What you think a fireman sounds like, what you think a chipmunk sounds like. It's all based on your life. So you have to learn to embrace yourself, know where your strengths are and weaknesses are, and stop focusing on voices. And that's what most of us good coaches will teach you. It's all about storyline and connection to character, but and emotions. It's those three things combined. And if you could take film, theater, and broadcasting, and then our voice stuff as well, then you're going to have a well-rounded understanding. And if you could do everything I did, film, casting, direction, production, like, oh, if you could have the insight
Yeah.
in.
Be on all sides of it. See it
Mm.
from everyone's angle.
Beautiful thing. That's why we're trying to do the podcast we are, so you can see it in a different perspective, because it's so important that you know, we don't sit in the driver's seat enough. We sit there and judge from the passenger side. I'm in a band, and in that band we have a song called Backseat Driver.
Mm.
And a lot of the world are backseat drivers. They're sitting there telling everybody how to drive, but literally what you're doing is you think they're going to drive your way, but they don't have to. They have the wheel. They're the ones in charge of that destination, and only you can be that person. You can't have two drivers. You have to have one. And so you have to drive your own vehicle and quit driving everybody else's, you know? That's my
Nice. You mentioned a few things like a podcast and a band and your stuff with Ellie Ray. Maybe you could give us some socials and links to that stuff. Any in
Sure,
mind?
I'd love to for sure. I have my husband is a guitarist slash pilot, and I didn't want to be a band wife slash bitch. So he was like, we'll just sing around the campfire, and that's all it was supposed to be, because I've never been accused of being a good singer. And now suddenly it's 8 years later, we're in a band, we've got lots of originals, which I really love, and I love writing music. And in fact, for the voice actors, I have a song for you called Just a Word that is written with voice actors in mind, but I warn you, there is a censored version. But it's very, very much about swears. It's supposed to be about swears. The whole storyline is it's not about the word you say. It's the intention you put behind them that make them derogatory. And so I think it'll be your new favorite song, no matter your genre of music that you like. It's got a country rock flavor, if you will. It's called Just a Word, and it's just awesome. Even I like it. Like, I love this song. It's such a great song. So I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And
Deb,
then, yeah, the
have you
podcast we
mentioned
have.
your, if I may interrupt, have you mentioned your band's name yet?
I don't think so. Sorry. Our band's name is Bootlegged.
There we go.
It's not
Look
the
it up.
best name in the world, but I needed to afford more than one pair of shoes. So for some of you in other countries, you'll say bootlegged, and then that way you spell it. But if you can always find us by looking up Bootlegged the band, either .com or Facebook, because we're old or
We'll
whatever.
do
And then
it.
we have
We'll
some
do it.
originals on for sale, merchandise, and also some stuff on Spotify as well, of course.
All right. I think you were going to give us some other things too, some links to
Yeah,
friends.
so some podcasts we're working on right now.
Yeah.
I have myself, we've actually got a lot of stuff going on right now, but my coaching partner and I, Ellie, we own a company called Get Mic'd, and we right now have a podcast that we're doing that is called Up Close, and it's all about communication. It's not just for voice actors, it's designed for the entire planet to learn how to communicate better. So some of the stuff we did briefly talk about today, you can find a few of our episodes on our website at getmiked.com, as well as our retreat and some of our other events and stuff that we have, that we do workshops and private training and demos and stuff. And then I also have another podcast that I'm doing right now. So that one's releasing slowly. We haven't gotten it on a podcast channel yet. We're just doing a slow release right now. My other one we're going to can a few more shows before we're releasing it, which is with Mark Grau. And that one is called The Nitty Gritty. And it's all about the behind scenes of the industry. So as much clients, directors, agents, producers, engineers that we can get in and just talk about really some of the candid stuff that probably a lot of people don't want to talk about, dealing with the change in gender specifications, dealing with the change of AI, dealing with all the things that nobody wants to talk about. So we're trying to give an open forum to that and interview other industry folks to see how they're viewing these things and how we're handling all the stuff that the changes are in their industry. So it's kind of like a industry, getting to know the industry before and then adjusting to what it is now and going with
Yeah.
those times. So that's what it's all about. It's called the nitty gritty.
Oh, that's a podcast I'm going to listen to. I want to know
Awesome.
all about those topics.
Right?
Deb, seriously, Deb, thank you so much for being here. I want to say that you've been an absolute gem. I was right to say that you are one of my favorite coaches. Thank you for
Aw,
being here
thanks
and
so much,
proving that.
honey. I appreciate that so much. You're a doll. Thanks for having me on here. It's been my pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for being here to listen to Deb's wisdom. You have a great rest of the day.
Take care, everybody. Oh, they can find me at debsvoice.com in
Oh,
case you wanted that.
debsvoice.com. Go there. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.